Okay, today at the True Breakthrough podcast, we have Morgan Shawver. Morgan, it's nice to see you. Morgan is a mom, 2 kids, third one on the way.
Yeah.
She's a top producing realtor, top 500. She was on the cover of the Real Producers magazine. Morgan, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me here.
And today's conversation, I just wanted to go through your history. I wanted to go through how you have built such a successful career in real estate, especially how you started off in a completely different realm and how your life has built up to the success that you have now.
Well, that's a fun loaded question. So let's do this. So I guess we'll just start off by my first degree. I have like 19 of them, it feels like at this point. But I got a marketing degree from OU, from Ohio University in Athens, and I loved it. It was great. It was more communication studies, so I could pretty much do whatever I wanted. Went into being the director of marketing at Kinsale Country Club. I did that for about a year. And then I went into sales for Labatt Blue, the beer at Heidelberg. And I just decided that, funny enough, sales wasn't really for me in that realm. And my husband is a teacher, and I saw what he was doing for kids on a daily basis and how much he loved it. And so I decided to become a teacher.
Really?
Yes. So I went and got my teaching degree and went and became a kindergarten teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what I'm interested in is you're so open. You talk a lot. You really like to share with people. I'm interested earlier on in your childhood. Were you like this? Were you always like so bright, so opening?
Oh, thank you. I mean, I try to be, especially in our world nowadays. Things can be kind of tough, especially right now. But I've just always tried to be a positive person. And let's be honest, life can really stink sometimes. Everyone's going through something, always. So why be the person to add more to that? Why not leave someone with a positive interaction? So yeah, thank you for that. That's very kind.
Okay, yeah. I'm just interested in, so you're now teaching, you're being a kindergarten teacher, and you slowly start thinking about real estate. And this was from your mom, right?
Yes. So my mom is our team lead. In 2017, actually, before I had even gotten my teaching degree, she pushed me to get my real estate license. I no question pushed back. I said, sales is not for me. I'm literally leaving a sales job. I don't like the ickiness that can come with it. You know, sales can get a little sleazy sometimes.
Yeah.
And she said, no, it's what you build your business on and how you build it is what you're going to make it. So I got it. I kind of sat with it. Nothing really happened for the first couple years, which was my choice because I was going to get my teaching degree. And then when COVID hit and I started posting on social media about my real estate license, things just kind of took off. And I had to decide. At that point, I was doing 2 full-time jobs, and we had just had our son, Oakland. So 6-month-old, my husband was coaching football and basketball for high school. And then, you know, I had to decide what was best for us because we couldn't keep going the way we did. And real estate kind of took my heart, and we ran with it.
Oh, wow. Dang. And I'm interested, were you ever so you have been a mom and as a real estate agent, do you ever feel like it, because you're a top producing agent, you're not just someone that sells maybe 1 house or 2 houses a year, you're doing a really good job. And how has that impacted you as a mom? Has there ever been moments where it's like, okay, I need to hold back, or are you still pushing on real estate and being a mom at the same time?
I think you kind of know me enough at this point that I don't really put my brakes on ever. I just kind of go with it, and what happens. And I am very fortunate and blessed that I've taken the mindset that my children are a part of my life no matter what. So now they're going on showings with me. They are going to closings with me. And that just started with one kid. And then when I had my daughter Collins, I kind of thought to myself, what's going to happen when I have a 2-year-old and a newborn going to showings with me? How are my clients going to react?
Yeah.
In the most positive way. I don't know how I got so lucky to get the best clients. Everyone loves it. They think it's awesome. You know, if one has a meltdown or starts crying during a showing, which has happened, we kind of pivot and go with it. And
Mm.
jokingly, the buyers will be like, well, then this isn't our house. If Oakland or Collins don't like it, this is not it.
Yeah.
Um, but now with a third one on the way, we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But with a newborn, I've just taken it on that you can strap them on, with the
Yeah.
wraps that everybody wears and go with it. And we kind of roll with the punches. So especially with my business too, I never would say no to anybody because you just never know what that's going to lead to.
Yeah. And then with your mom as a real estate agent, when you were younger, was she doing similar stuff with you? Did you see real estate as something that you would get into when you were like looking at your mom when you were younger?
She got it. She got her real estate license in 2011. So I was actually a junior in high school. So I didn't get to go on showings as much with her or anything. But when she started real estate, it was obviously during not a great time in our world. It was during the recession, which is like the worst time you could enter into real estate, but she still did. And she had, and now I understand how big of a year she had. She had $3 million houses her first year in real estate, which is like unheard of. And she has such a bright light to her, and being able to now understand how great, I mean, she just got her license and took off. It has been incredible to see. And I think that's where the basis of my business came from. I'm like, okay, I see her pushing constantly, but she never pushes anything on anyone, if that makes sense. She lets them come to the conclusion if this is right for them. And I think that's what we've both kind of decided is the right way to take on business.
Yeah. Has she been a mentor for you kind of this whole entire process, or have you looked to any other people as well?
She has been my everything, which sounds funny too, but it could be that I got my first sale and I would call her crying and just of happiness. Or let's be honest, sometimes things get tricky, no matter what job you're in. And you have to pivot, and she'd be the first person I'd call and say, Mom, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I still do that 8 years in, that I'm like, Mom, this is a new one. And real estate is always changing, as everybody knows. She is the first person I call for just about everything. So she has been by far my biggest mentor, and she's taking on, now we have a team of 6. So she being able to take on 5 of us and being that mentor for us has just been game changing.
And I'm interested because I saw that in 2024 she opened up Kenzie's Candy. Can you talk about a little bit what is it for and who is Kenzie?
Yes. Oh, okay. So my little sister Mackenzie, she was 27 when she passed away. So she passed away in, oh gosh, would that have been 2003 then? Because we opened it not even a year later from when she had passed. So it's in Sunbury, Ohio. My sister, had always wanted to open a candy shop. She was living in London, Ohio at the time, and she even, found the storefront that she wanted and everything. And then her boyfriend, who she was living out there with, they ended up breaking up. So me being the big older sister, I said, okay, get your booty home from London, Ohio, and you're coming back to Westerville. So she came home and would kind of tell us here and there about her wanting to open a candy shop, but you just never know with even starting your own business. And she was 26 at the time, so we weren't not supportive, but not like, let's do this. And then she got sick, and she was at Nationwide Children's Hospital for 388 days, and then she ended up passing away in July of 2023. And she is now buried at the Sunbury Memorial Park in Sunbury, Ohio. Steps away from her cemetery is a coffee shop that we always go to. It's called Village Coffee House in Sunbury, and right next to it was an empty storefront. And we kept looking at it and kept looking at it. It just my mom and I kept feeling like there was a calling to it of some sort. And then my dad woke up one day and looked at my mom and said, we're going to open a candy store right there. We're going to open a candy store. From the day he had that idea in his head in the middle of the night, we opened our doors 2 months later. So now it is a full-blown candy shop in Sunbury, Ohio. We have ice cream. We have, it's very much geared towards like vintage too. So
Mhm.
it's a lot of candy that a lot of people can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
Um, we just want to make people happy when they
Mhm.
walk in the door. So yeah, we
That's
we love
amazing.
it. We love it.
Yeah. And I was interested, like, how do you balance your time across all of these different things, like with the candy shop, with your kids, with real estate? I know you're also a runner. I'm pretty sure you teach cheerleading, right?
I used to. Yes, I had to stop that.
You have to
So
stop.
I had to do take away something. But yes, I did. I was a coach.
How do you manage all of that?
Being intentional with my time. So I I don't really sit on my couch and watch Netflix. And I mean that in a kind way that some people just need that time to be able to reset.
Mhm.
Whereas I don't think I can handle resetting because if I'm busy, I'm doing good things. If I'm just sitting, I'm not.
Mhm.
So, I guess just being intentional and making sure that I am using every day because Kinsey very much taught me that every day could be your last.
Mhm.
Um, so making sure that I make every day the best it can be.
Mhm. And then has there been a breaking point where you've been almost like, "Okay, I'm gonna step out," or has it always been still, "I'm going through it"?
I am fortunate to say with real estate, I've never had that. Don't get me wrong. There's the times where you're just like, whoa, what is happening? Last summer, for example, I had a blessingly beautifully filled summer of a lot of real estate clients. And at one point, so I had my daughter was a year, my son was 3, um, and then a couple months later, we got pregnant with our daughter. And that was when we kinda looked at each other, my husband and I were like, "What is happening? What did we do?" Um, but it's all part of God's plan, and we're just kinda going with it. Um, I have had times where I think, Wow, that was a really hard day," but I've never had to the point where I'm like, "I can't do this anymore,"
Mhm.
which I'm very fortunate, or even had to take a step back.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we'll go with it as long as we can until until someday we may get there.
Yeah, what makes you stand apart from other agents? Because 'Cause you've been doing this since 2021, 4 years.
Yeah.
That's not too long, but you have been producing a lot more than a lot of experienced agents.
Yeah.
Why do you think you're so highly or, like, producing so highly?
Well, so I think those first 3 years, so when I had gotten my license in 17, I kinda sat back and did watch my mom from a step back. And then when I went full force in 2021, I think it's just being able to connect with someone to make them feel like you understand that this is the biggest investment that they will ever take on in their life.
Mm.
It's scary when you say it like that because people are like, "Well, what am I doing?" But it's also the best investment. You are a lot of people, surprisingly enough,
Mm.
are growing their families at this point. A lot of my clients. So they're the move up clients. So they have a condo to start with, or maybe they've just been renting for years to come. And now they're at this point where they're like, Morgan, I see um, my friends having kids. I see my friends starting families. I see them buying houses. Can you help me through that? And being able to say, yes, I have been here and being
Mhm.
able to relate to them 5,000,000%. I probably have 5 clients right now that are also pregnant. Like
Yeah.
it's a funny thing to step back and look at all of the clients that I have that are in the same point as me right now. Um, so yeah, I think being able to connect with them on a deeper level is the best
Mhm.
thing that you can do for anybody in any job, really.
Yeah. How do you think your past has built you up as the realtor that you are today? Because you did a lot of sales jobs. I saw you were doing internships at news channels. You were interning for social media.
Yeah.
And I'm interested, how has that built you into the realtor that you are today?
Yeah, I was even an intern at the Columbus Crew for a
Yeah, I
little
saw that.
bit. Um, and and like you had seen, I was gonna be on the news someday. Like I have been through um a lot of different career channels in my life for only being 30 years old too, which is it's crazy to think, but it also has led me to where I am today.
Mhm.
Um, everything that I have used all the way to even teaching has prepared me to be able to understand what I need to do for every different set of buyers and sellers that I have.
Mhm.
Um, every situation is different. Every client is different. Even when I had talked previously about my mom, after 8 years, I still call her and I'm like, what is going on? This is a new situation, and what are we supposed to do? And being able to just grow from each of those positions. I mean, with marketing,
Mhm.
I worked at the Ohio Department of Transportation at one point as
Yeah.
an intern, and they taught me everything I know about Canva. And that
Oh,
was
really?
before Canva was even, it has
Mhm.
commercials now.
Yeah.
Um, being able to learn that, and that would have been in 2014 before it even became what it is today, set up my foundation for social media, set up marketing, all of that for me, to now be the person that leads our marketing team for
Oh,
the
wow.
Lundquist Group. Yep. So, and I love that. Um, I'm very fortunate that it's just something that comes natural to me. My dad is in interactive multimedia. He's a professor at Columbus State. So he's been
Mhm.
doing it for 25 plus years too. So being able to watch him, my parents just kind of, they like
Yeah.
tag team and go with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's everything has built upon each other. So
How do you see social media? How has it impacted your real estate career?
it has been just a beautiful thing. I went to a seminar a couple years ago, and one thing that's really stuck with me so far has been um, no one wants you to be a secret agent. And
Mhm.
how that kind of resonated with me is n- no one will use you if they don't know you're a real estate agent, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So don't be a secret agent, put it in front of them. Then you have to decide what is too much, what is forceful, what works for you, what's your brand, what's your
Mhm.
niche, all of the pieces into it. And being able to find even something as silly as a color scheme. Like I
Yeah.
had to sit down and like decide what my color scheme was going to be, and of course naturally it's gray, but like like everything else, like my whole house is gray, but it's fine. It- being able to like add in splashes of pink and just I don't know. Now I want someone to be able to look at my social media and see that it all flows together.
Mhm.
And that took a while to build it up to what it is, and especially, like, doing something like this,
Yeah.
it took me a while to get comfortable with, like, videos. Not as long as some people just because I w literally wanted to be on the news one day.
Yeah.
So I had that foundation too, um, but being able to, like, put the phone I mean, I walked in here and I was like, "Hey, Vlad, we're taking a selfie." Like, that's
Yeah. I
like
know. I noticed. I was like, wow.
yeah, see, but you have to have it in the forefront of your mind, um, because you can forget so easily, walking to your car, you're like, "Oh, shoot, I meant to
Mhm.
take that picture." Well,
Yeah.
now this can start up a conversation where someone is messaging you and asking you I get messages all the time about, "You make it look so fun."
Mhm.
"What does it take to be a real estate agent?" And I'm like, "Oh, girl, you have no, in the best way. I'm very truthful that it does take a little bit to build your business, but social media has been a driving factor just to be able to make connections too. So,
Yeah, and then you mentioned something important. You mentioned how you were talking about separation of your life on social media and your
yep.
private life. How do you do that? Especially because I know I looked at your social media. You post a lot,
Yeah.
and also you have your kids with you in the business too, in the
Yeah.
showings. How do you separate that where it's also not like, okay, I need to make sure like I'm not having people violate my privacy?
Yes. Um, I think you can definitely catch after doing it for so long, you can feel if it's the correct situation or not. I'm not going to take my kids if it's a referral random lead from Zillow.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah.
not gonna I'm not gonna take them into a situation where um any time would make me nervous. Usually not even the first couple showings, I don't take them. Um or like a seller's consult if I'm walking the house. I
Hmm.
know when
Yeah.
when is an appropriate time and when is not. Um, also being able to, shoot them a text and say, "Hey, I'm just letting you know Oakland and Collins are going to be there today. Being
Yeah.
able to give them the little forewarning that, hey, I'm just letting you know, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old are also going to be with us at this showing too. But like I said previously, my buyers and sellers have been so understanding. And if they follow me on social media, they already know we're kind of like a package deal.
Yeah.
Um, and eh, like I told you too, my husband's a teacher. So being home during the summer, especially during those busy
Oh, yeah.
months, has been an absolute game changer for us. Um, but there are times he's a head basketball coach. There are times where he has practice during the summertime and he doesn't have time, and I have a random showing at 2 o'clock. Well, it's based on the client's time. So I will do whatever I need to do, whether or not that's strapping one to the front and one to the back and giving them a sucker throughout the time. We will do it. But yeah.
What about on social media? How do you decide, okay, I'm gonna post this, but like I want this part of my life, this private family matters. Like I don't want
Yeah.
this out there.
There's only been probably 2 or 3 situations where that's happened, and I know that sounds kind of funny, but I'm very open when it comes to my social media, as you can tell again. Um, but there are times where I know, especially what happened with my sister, that was a really hard year in our life that we just weren't ready to share with people for a really, really, really long time. Now I'm very open to keeping her memory alive. But when you're going through those hard moments, you just
Yeah.
can't.
I-
You can't let people in, even if they just want to help and love on you. And that's all we received during that time, which was incredible. But it's just so hard and so fresh at that time. So, I make sure, especially with my parents too, to respect everybody's boundaries. My husband too is like, Morg, do we really have to take a picture right now? And I'll respect that. I'll respect the family time. I will respect, putting away my phone or anyone for that matter. It's probably the best thing you can do for yourself sometimes. That do not disturb button has been a beautiful thing for us as a family. But just knowing mentally what is right to post at the time and not is something you really do actually have to learn too.
Yeah, that is really important. And I was interested because you do a lot of reaching out on Instagram. Do you do a lot of in person as well, or has it kind of stopped mostly because with the kids and everything? How do you balance those, like in person connection, networking versus like online?
Um, a lot of the people who come to me online already actually know me in person,
Mhm.
which is also a blessing too. I don't know how I somehow had so many Facebook friends off the bat too. I have like 4,000, and I half the time I'm like, I didn't even know we were friends on Facebook, but um, and not in a weird, creepy way or in any way, but a lot of times we already have some type of personal connection,
Hmm.
which again is another blessing too. It's not random leads that just kind of reach out to me. They say, hey, I know this person. I saw you helped them find a house. Could you help me as well? Um, so making sure we always have an initial consult too, my buyer's initial consult or a seller's initial consult. And I tell people I never make anyone sign anything at that point because yes, you see me on social media, but goodness, I may be a hot mess express for you in person, which is okay. You're not everybody's cup of tea. And I've found that out too. Just being in this business, there's 10,000 plus Columbus agents,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of people to go up against. But again, you have to find who's right for you. So I tell my clients a lot of times, or even just people who are meeting with me, we are in a relationship until the day we close. Literally, you have to love me like a significant other, because I will most likely be texting you a lot. We talk on the phone a lot. You have to understand, where my heart comes from when those hard conversations are happening. But it's finding a balance, that is for sure.
hmm One interesting thing is, when do you find time for running? Because I looked, you're a serious runner. Like I looked, you did 30, like a half miler. I mean,
Yeah.
a half marathon
Yeah.
for Nationwide Children's. Like that's
Yeah.
not just like, hey, oh, let's go take a run.
Yes. No, Like I said, I have a saint of a husband, and he helps me a lot. When I had 2, Oakland and Collins, now with the 3rd coming, I'm not sure how that's gonna happen, but we bought a double stroller, so I would run with both of them, and it was actually, like, 45 it was, like, pushing 45 pounds with a double stroller, so then when I would run by myself, it would make things so much easier. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think being able to carve out time for myself has been my sanity.
Mhm.
Um, I have either been pregnant or breastfeeding for the past 5 and 6 years of my life, which was, again, not my plan, it's God's plan.
Yeah.
But I think just being able to carve out some time for yourself and stepping away from the babies just for a
Yeah.
second, and from my husband for that matter, just being able to get some sanity time by myself, that's what running has become for me. So,
Okay, and what I'm interested in is the future,
yes.
because you talk a lot about God's plan, and I'm
Yeah.
interested. You have 3 kids come. You have a 3rd kid on the way.
Yeah.
How do you see real estate? And then with that 3rd kid on the way, do you see your real estate career growing? Like eventually maybe even being like a team lead like your mom or having your own brokerage? Like how tell me what do you see with the future of real estate and then your family?
Mhm. I think I just got the chills when you said my own brokerage. I don't think that's in the cards for me, which is okay, which is you never know.
Yeah,
Never say
never know.
never. You never know. Um, but I am a lot of my business has been driven from what has happened with my sister, so I don't think anything is gonna stop me, um, especially with a 3rd baby. We like I had mentioned, yes, we weren't planning on the 3rd baby at this time, but with everything that did happen with my sister, I also have a little brother. So, without him and losing Kinsey, I don't know what I would have done. So, being able to give Oakland and Collins a 3rd sibling kind of became my mindset when we did lose Kinsey because, again, I don't know what I would have done without Mason,
Mhm.
who's my little brother. Um, so, yes, the 3rd kid, again, came a little sooner
Yeah.
than we had expected, but that's okay. Um, we nothing is really gonna stop, yeah, goodness forbid what happens with this market. No one can
Yeah.
predict it. But nothing's really gonna stop me from what I'm doing at this point. I've finally found what works in my jive. Um, you just may have one more assistant coming with me
Yeah.
than, the other 2, but that's I call them my mini assistants, but, Oakland's finally to the age where he'll turn on lights for me. He'll help me unlock the door. He will tell the clients what he feels about the house. I'm not kidding. It's became more fun than anything. Um, but with my family and the team lead and, um I really love what we have going on with my mom and being able to just be I couldn't imagine not having her. It just started her and I. It
Yeah.
was just her, and then, like I had said, she called me one day and said, "I think you should get your license." And I said, "I don't think that's the right thing for me." And she's mom and she knows best. So she convinced me to do it, and then it was just her and I for 3 years, and then all of a sudden it just kind of became bigger than we'd ever expected. She asked me this previous year if I would like to join her as being one of the team leads, and I said, "I'm probably not in the time in my life to do that," which is okay too. So we never say never, but we're also now to the point where we're not able to really we can add more people to our team, but we are really loving what's going on um, with the teammates that we have. So just being able to build our business with each other. Um, as a family, because
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're basing our team off of. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the future looks like, but as of right now, I think we're just gonna stay afloat.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, it seems like you have a lot on your plate with that, but I'm interested in how so your mom has been a mentor to you and you have been in this game for a while. Have you seen yourself grow into a mentor for these new team members that you have? Like, do you notice like, oh, it's like, oh, I'm like my mom now, how she was helping me out and now it's like people calling me?
I try to be. I very much try to be. Um, my mom will give you the more professional answer. I will give you the fun, exciting, my actual feelings kind of answer. So a lot of times they'll actually come to both of us, which is fun. But on my team is my cousin, my sister-in-law, and then 2 very close family friends, and then my mom and I to make up the 6 of us, and it being able to maybe my mom isn't available at the time, especially what was going on with my sister, and then we had just recently lost my grandpa as well. If she wasn't available at the time, I could be, or vice versa. So being able to piggyback off of each other if someone needed something, it really worked out well for us. And we're still doing that. And again, being able to mentor, I would not call myself a mentor quite yet. I'm more there for questions if people need. Um, but I try and help people as much as I can just because she gave me that.
Mm.
And I don't know where I'd be without her. So being able to be that for someone else is really going to be a driving factor for me too.
Mhm. And I wanted to talk about the market right now because you started off really good time. 2021 was a really good year for real
Yeah.
estate, from what I heard. And now, what I've been hearing, it's slowly becoming more of a seller's market where home prices are going through the roof.
Yeah.
How do you see it going this year? And with tariffs and like interest rates, how do you see the market going?
I love this question. When people ask me this because I can talk within the next couple of months because I'm feeling it and I'm living it right now. I will never talk even about what's going on the following year. We have no idea how things are going to be affected. Um, but from what I know right now, we we had just gotten the numbers from February, with the new listings and how it's comparing to 2024. And things are up a little bit from 2024. And I'm very fortunate to have had the best year in my career in 2024. Which was also surprising.
Yeah,
I
that
know.
is.
It's very surprising. But it also gives me the motivation to know that the market is not your driving factor. And if it is, um, then maybe adjust your mindset a little bit because everyone needs a house and everyone needs a place to live. And granted, we're not at the 2% anymore. We're not even at a 5%
Yeah.
anymore. It can be painful, especially if someone's wasn't able to get a house in that 21, 22, 23 year time frame. And now they have to go back to their lender and interest rates are higher and they can't afford as much. And it's painful to have those conversations, but people still want to move and people still want to find a place and to start their life and to own something. So just being able to counsel them through like it is going to be okay. And lenders love to say marry the house, date the rate.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, I literally heard that.
Yes. Marry the house, date the rate. So rates could come down, right?
Mhm.
They could fluctuate no matter what. But if you are buying a house just to buy a house, you most likely won't be happy there within, a year to maybe even 3, which is okay. And yes, you can always sell and move on. But being able to still find something that you love is very, very possible. And just being able to give them that positive affirmation that it is okay.
Yeah.
There is a house out there for everybody. And a very big thing I base my business on is what's meant to be will be. And when people come to me and they're devastated that they don't get a house or they're
Mhm.
devastated that they couldn't afford something that they felt like they loved, then it wasn't meant to be. There is a different house out there for you. And if it might not be right now, it may be in a year or two. But being able to have that good conversation and good relationship with the lender that you trust is everything. So my market forecast is I have no idea. In the big grand scheme of things, I have no idea what's going to go on other than that I know that things are already starting to heat back up.
Mhm.
Multiple offers are coming in. Sellers' favorable terms are coming in. Um, Appraisal gaps are coming back. Escalation clauses are coming back. Things that you didn't really have to do for the past couple months,
Yeah.
they are coming back and you're seeing multiple offers. So you're up against a lot more competition. Um, So on the buyer standpoint, get in before the summer hits, because we know when school ends, things get even crazier, right? Everyone wants to buy a house. But when, the sellers, it's a great time for sellers to sell in the summertime too, but you have to find a place to go for that matter too. So it's such a balance, and basing things off of people's timeline, or me saying like, oh, now's your time to get in. That's not a forceful thing to get in just because before school lets out. Give yourself the time to mentally get there, because like I said before, it's the biggest investment of your life. So if you just jump into it and hope for the best, a lot of times that doesn't work out. So
hmm What would you say to real estate agents that are just starting out, like people that are out of high school or out of college who are now looking for that start in real estate and they're like, wow, this market is so difficult. How would you recommend for them to stand out?
in this day and age, social media has just been a huge thing. So making sure that you have a presence on social media, making sure that you are getting out in the market. Yes, you go through 4 classes, and yes, you take a test, but the biggest time that you learn is being out in the market. And if you don't put yourself out there and get yourself engrossed in the market and understanding, how to do an open house, maybe follow an agent for the day and understand their practices and how they cold call sometimes, which can be scary for a lot of new agents, but calling for sale by owners, calling expired listings and canceled listings, putting yourself in the office, which is also scary too, meeting new people, but getting yourself into the office in front of these great agents is a really good thing that can help you build your business a lot quicker than just sitting at home and hoping for the best. Um, like I had said, you can't be a secret agent, so you have to let people know that you are an agent. I've heard some secret tricks that, you wear your name tag to the grocery store, just starting a conversation for people to know you are in real estate. I started when I was 23, and I don't know who wants to buy a house from a 23-year-old, but, I went for it anyway. Um, I think I have told people that I've been 30 years old since I've been 23, and they're like, "Oh, you look a little young," but you want to feel confident, and building that confidence is making sure that you are engrossing yourself in the market.
This is going a little backwards,
Tell
but
me.
I'm interested. Do you have like the story of selling your first house, like the emotions of it? Like, what was it
Yes.
like?
Y yes, Vlad, I do. I was very fortunate that I had wonderful friends that came to me and they said, "We want you to sell our house, and we want this one down the street." It was the only house we had seen,
Mm,
so we were contingent on the home sale, so that means they had to sell their first house before they could purchase the second one.
mhm.
So we put in an offer, home sale contingent on their house selling. Their house ended up selling top dollar. It was amazing. The sale was great. Flip to their buying side, and this agent is a very, very well known agent in Columbus, Ohio. So I knew from the second we pulled up and I saw her sign, I was like, "Oh no, she's gonna give me a run for my money." I know it, but I knew I had my mom, so I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna make this work." A couple things, not knowing, with it being your first one, the exact steps. I had a very rough idea, but unless you're in it and know exactly, the processes, it just kind of feels like, oh my gosh, there's one thing after the other. Oh my gosh, I don't want to forget this, because you want to do the best you can. So I will never forget, on Thanksgiving Day at a family member's house, she had called me, the agent did, and she was like, "I have not been able to get a hold of you. What is going on?" And I said, I have been emailing you, back and forth, and um I remember crying very hard during that transaction, being like, "I don't know if this is for me. These agents scare me. This is intimidating." But being able to overcome that one, I think the universe puts one of the hardest transactions as your first one on
Yeah.
purpose. So then you learn quite literally almost everything you possibly could. Um, And then on our final walkthrough, we got through it. We're going through the final walkthrough is 2 days before closing. You walk through just to make sure that the home is in the same condition as when you placed the offer. Looking for holes, leaks, um, any dents or scratches that may have not been there before. And we open the sump pump door, and there is just a flood
Oh my gosh.
everywhere in this sump pump. And I remember just looking at it, and I was like, okay. I should have expected that something was going to happen like this. So immediately called the agent, sent her a video of it, and it was very understanding. The sellers were amazing. It was great handling that part of it, because we were going to close in 2 days, and they were closing on their house. They had to have a place to go. So it was just a domino effect, which is what home sale contingencies become. And they got it fixed within 24 hours, and before closing, it was all good. But my goodness, I will not forget that one. That is for sure. That one's when I write my book. That's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, when I write my book, that one is going in it
When do
for
you
sure.
think you'll do that?
Oh,
Anytime soon?
no. I will.
No?
If ever, it will be a very, very long time.
Very long.
Very long time. But don't worry. I got some things going on up here that.
So something we could
Keep
look
going.
forward to maybe in 10?
Oh, that's also very kind of you. No, probably in like a 20 or 30 situation. Oh yeah, when I'm sitting on a beach writing in a notebook. That's my plan.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'll look forward to it.
Oh,
I'll keep that in mind.
okay.
I'll remind you. And what I'm interested in is for new realtors, I've heard this saying where realtors are recommended to niche down, to focus on a specific area. And one thing I heard is the realm of realtors that have general practice that is not that's not profitable anymore. And I'm interested, how have you approached your business?
So I think when I first started, I focused very much on first-time home buyers. But as you grow and develop with your business, that's very accurate. Your wheelhouse, I guess you would say, kind of transforms a little bit. So, yes, when I first started, I said, "Oh, my niche is first-time home buyers, definitely." And then all of a sudden, a couple years later, you have people contacting you, and they're those move-up buyers. So they have, a starting home,
Mm-hmm.
and now they want to move on to a bigger home. That is kind of where I'm sitting at right now. But with your business, like you said, you take what comes at you. And I'm very fortunate that now I'm to the point where I'm getting a lot of referrals. We don't pay for leads.
Mm-hmm.
We don't use any of the companies that give us leads. We literally are based on family, friends, and referrals.
Oh, wow.
Completely. So being able to get referrals from my past clients, I don't care if they're first-time home buyers, whether or not they are maybe ready to just move on and maybe I have a couple who actually ended up having to go to a senior living facility, and now we're putting their house on the market in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And that was a referral from someone who I did back in my CrossFit days. So like you kind of evolve with what your business is. And when you just narrow down on one certain clientele, you're exactly right. It kind of cuts off a lot of people for you. So just being able to be there with a mindset and being able to adjust it for any person who's coming to you as a referral, I think is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I wanted to sort of wrap up our conversation because I'm interested. You're a very big mom person.
Yeah.
You care about your kids and you see the challenges of real estate and the job that you are in. Would you recommend this job to your kids?
That's a very good question. Um, it I loved teaching. Do not get me wrong. I felt it was my calling. I loved every day I walked into that school. Those kindergartners brought me so much life. Um, I was a half-day kindergarten teacher, so I actually had 52 kiddos because I was half day. So I had 26 in the morning and 26 in the afternoon.
Mm.
Um, I would do that job forever.
Mm.
But then I had my own kids and realized when I was coming home, I was exhausted and tired, and I just didn't have the bandwidth to be able to go on
Yeah.
and be the mom I wanted to be. Having a sit-down conversation with my mom, she said, real estate can be flexible. and you can make it what you want. And again, my husband being a teacher too, he is off in the summers and then a lot of breaks too.
Yeah.
So being able to have him home, and I work when others don't. So the weekends are not really weekends for me. My
Yeah.
weekends are more like Wednesday and Thursday almost. And then I'm working all Saturday and Sunday in a great way. I'm working after 5 o'clock when people are off work, or if they need early morning showings, we're there at 7, 8, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, and the family aspect, I would absolutely recommend it to not even just my kids. I would recommend it to anybody um, who is able to good, who is able to talk to people and understand them on a personal level and put that in front of money. And I think I've always tried to have that in my forefront. I don't really like to call this a job. I call it my passion to be able to find people their next chapter in their life. Um, so yes, I would recommend it. Just with growing thick skin too is a big one.
And then I guess my last thing would be, would you recommend them to go and first have those life experiences that you had? Because you didn't go first into real estate. You interned, you did social media, you did sales, and then and kindergarten as well. And then you jumped onto this real estate thing. Would you rather have went straight into real estate, or do you feel like this is what made you into the real estate agent you are today?
You are spot on. Every experience and every job that I had has truly made me into the realtor I am today. Being able to have that as my basis has created the explosion of what my business has become. Being able to have that trust as a teacher, I mean, teachers are saints from above. So being able to have the backbone of a teacher, understand what marketing you need to do, how to get in front of people, like social media too, how to get in front of people, but without being overwhelming and too much. That's what you always have to find that balance with. So it created the base of my business. Would I recommend going from that many jobs and college 3 times? That's hard. That was hard, especially from my parents' standpoint. They're like, "You're doing what? Again? Okay." Luckily, I have very supportive parents, but now having all of that under my belt, I wouldn't change it for the world. Making the jump right when you get out of high school or college would be hard to recommend to somebody just because it takes a little bit of time to build up your business and make the money that you can sustain with. Um, but I think everybody just needs to have their own experience and decide what's best for them at the time. And it was not right for me to go right into real estate. And it took my mom to push me there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thank you, Morgan, for coming on. I thank you for sharing your experiences because I really enjoyed it. And just to see the real estate professionals that make up this world, because a lot of times we think about it and it's like, oh, it's like everyone is just solely focused on real estate. It's just a grinding career, but you managed to balance family, you managed to balance personal life and your career at the same time and perform well.
Thank you.
And I thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. It was awesome. Awesome to be here.